Good morning, everyone. This is Carl F. Rose recording from Bedford, Pennsylvania on Thursday, August, let's see, 17th, 2023. Anyway, I was going to do a video about the injury to Amon Ross St. Brown and Jamison Williams, but I was looking at it and it looks like, well, first of all, Jamison Williams is going to have time to recover. He looks like he had the more serious injury, and uh, so maybe the 6 weeks will work out for the better. His injury seemed to be a little more serious, so but by the time he gets going around, he should be good to go. Um, and it looks like they're going to probably limit St. Brown, in the preseason, and just make sure that he's ready for Kansas City. So that doesn't look too bad, but uh, so that's that on that. Unless there's other developments, I'll talk about that. Um, but mainly, what I wanted to talk about here is the Yellowstone uh, caldera, and I've seen a lot of videos about that. Kind of indicating that it could be blowing like at any minute, which is true. But one of my jobs I had, I can't go into detail due to uh, an agreement I signed when I left with a company that I can't talk too much about. But I worked with a bunch of geophysicists and stuff, um, and we were talking about the San Andreas fault quite a bit since I was in California at the time. Um, and But even back then, back in the 1980s, they were also, and this is coming from the geophysicists, they were also, were pointing out a scenario. They said because of the tectonic plates and stuff, and that plays a big role with Yellowstone caldera too, because of the tectonic split. Uh, if they shift under the caldera, well, basically everything's over. It'd be like us getting hit with a nuke, because once that caldera goes, it'll be a supervolcano, and it wouldn't be just the United States. It would be a worldwide event that would cover. Um, Basically, we would end up going into um, another ice age, really. So. Um, and that's kind of where we're at there. But here's the point that they were making. Again, this is coming from geophysicists. They said both of these things are tied together. So um, whatever happens in California, and we all know that San Andreas can go at any time, and we also know that the Yellowstone caldera, that the super volcano can go at any time. The Yellowstone has always had many earthquakes, just because of, and most of them are small, and they've always had like hundreds of earthquakes. Um, but I guess what's raising alarms lately is that the earthquakes seem to be bigger. But a USGS person recently said, and just take this with a grain of salt, because I don't trust the USGS as much as I don't trust any of the mainstream media. But basically, they're saying, don't panic. Um, this thing won't happen for years. Well, it could go at any time. And back to what the geophysicists were telling me, they said if the San Andreas goes, it's more than likely going to shift the plates under the Yellowstone um, caldera. So basically, what they were, this was, remember, this back in the 1980s. They said when this happens, then more than likely the the shift will also affect the tectonic plates under Yellowstone, and not only will the west be basically wiped out because of the San Andreas slip when it slips, but that will trigger the shifting of the plates under Yellowstone at the same time, and then the caldera that'll expose the caldera, and then the supervolcano will blow. So, in effect, in a nutshell, when the San Andreas does go, and we don't know when that'll ever happen, but it will. Um, we're going to have two events. The West will be wiped out by the earthquake, plus a lot of ash, because ash will be going that way. But the rest of the country on the east, depending on the wind shift, because it's eventually going to go around the whole globe, um, it will affect the entire country. So basically, when the San Andreas goes, um, basically the whole country is basically going to be toast. Um, so that's the point I'm getting at. When that happens, I have no idea. Only God knows that. Um, but the geophysicists were pointing out the scenario for me. So the reason I'm doing this is I'm seeing a lot of videos on here, um, talking about a lot of the earthquakes and stuff, and kind of making a panic. But it will be major, and it could blow tomorrow. I don't know that. I'm not God. Um, he's the only one that knows that. Um, Same thing with San Andreas. So I'm just pointing out what will happen when the San Andreas goes. More than likely, the caldera will blow approximately the same time, maybe a few days later, something like that. That's what we're looking at. Anyway, I just wanted to get this out. Hopefully, I didn't ruin your whole day, and please don't dwell on it. But just be aware that, yeah, that could happen at any time. So we'll talk to you later. Goodbye.